Hello everyone, welcome again to another episode of Stan, Steve and Spider-Man. This time we're going to be delving into a character who is not new to the Marvel Universe at this stage of time, but he is new to the Spider-Man comics at the time. And it's what I'm very excited to talk about, just because, as we've said last issue, I guess maybe these will be called episodes. I'm very excited about this character. He's one of my personal favorites, and seeing him clash against Peter Parker, written by Stan Lee, drawn by Steve Ditko, it's just like, did I dream this? Did I make this in some 60s afterlife version of me? Yes. Joining me once again is my co-conspirator, the other half of the dynamic web duo, Matt. How are you, man?
Ooh, howdy, y'all. I like the web duo. That's fun.
I was either that or tempted to call you like from the PS1 Spider-Man game. It's like Spider Boy.
Spider Boy's pretty good too. I like the web duo.
Web duo. We'll stick with that. But yeah, we're here with Amazing Spider-Man issue 5, and this is episode 6. So always remember, just add 1 because amazing fantasy. But yes, we're going to talk about...
Add 1 because Spider-Man's number 1.
Yes, of course. So that's nice. I like it. So yes, we're talking about Spider-Man clashing with Doctor Doom. And just to open this, I guess I'm just going to say, what are your thoughts on good old Victor?
Oh, just Doctor Doom as a character?
Yeah, just in general.
I don't know. Okay, we'll talk about the design first. The design's so sick.
The design, top 10 in supervillain designs, easy.
Oh, top 3, easy.
Oof, I like you.
Yeah.
I see why I chose you for this.
Honestly, well, off topic, we'll do my top 3 real fast. That, Magneto, and Joker are my top 3 supervillain designs.
Respect.
But anyways, yeah, the design's so cool. I mean, Doctor Doom's just always been a visually striking character. Like, I knew who Doctor Doom was before I knew the Fantastic Four as a kid, just because I would remember that design, because it's like Darth Vader-y. It's like if Darth Vader met a wizard.
Before Darth Vader.
Yeah, before Darth Vader, which is wild to think about. But I don't know, but I knew, after that, of course, I always knew who Doctor Doom was, but not really sure much more. But then, I read a few things before that, and then I read Secret Wars, and he's really interesting in Secret Wars when he was God Doom. And then after that, now it's just such a blast to read him, just because his dialogue, especially old Doctor Doom, his dialogue is just the top tier of all comic book thing.
Which we'll get into. Is just if this just evolves into us reading Doctor Doom's quotes in this, don't be surprised. It'll probably be more entertaining than any other episode, just because of how well Stan writes this guy.
Yes, Stanley just writes him so well.
It's he's talked about before. He's his favorite character is Spider-Man. His favorite character was J.J. Jameson. I haven't read that many interviews with him talking about Doctor Doom, but considering his other baby is the Fantastic Four, and Doctor Doom is their big main villain, and just how much pure fun comes from Doctor Doom, I would have loved to dig up an old interview about, because I'm sure Stan had a soft spot for this metal-faced tyrant.
Oh, he definitely did. I mean, he crossed over with his real baby boy.
That's true.
he wanted both of his favorite kids to have a play date together.
That's true, and that's basically what this is. It's just an excuse to get these two characters to meet. We'll talk about the cover real quick. We basically got Matt, what do you think of the cover?
I like it. I think Doctor Doom looks kind of funky. Yeah. I don't know, but I really like Spider-Man though. I think the shading on Spider-Man is really, really cool. I think the little detail to the web stepping is also fun. Mm-hmm. I really don't like the yellow machinery, just because it's kind of weird looking to me. It looks like it's supposed to be more detailed, and they didn't finish it.
It's one of those things where there's a lot of white space in the middle of it, which I like the contrast between the white and the yellow. But my biggest issue with it is I think the posing's a little off. I don't know what it is. It's like Ditko's normally like really good at this, but this is the one time I feel like, not really feeling it. Is like I feel the perspective is weird, like from the angle. It looks like Doctor Doom is like supposed to be like firing at Spider-Man, but he's like he completely misses. It's really questioning why he like blasts a certain thing on the floor, and then like you got Spider-Man like falling into this pit, but then we're not seeing the bottom of the pit of the electrocuted like floor, but we're not seeing that, and then we're just seeing it's just a really messy cover, which is kind of good because like, as we see the fight in the comic, it's meant to be this like big chaotic thing. But like compared to the others, especially some of my other favorites, like the Dr. Octopus one, it's a little too busy for my liking. Not bad by any means, but not one. I can see why this issue like cover doesn't come out up a lot, just because when people look at old Spider-Man comics, they tend to just go to the covers immediately, and this cover is something like be like a stock issue, like oh maybe it's nothing good, and they'll just like scroll past it.
Yeah, you're right. I think. That's interesting. I don't know. I really like how Spider-Man looks in this cover, like a lot. I really like how Spider-Man looks, but like everything else is kind of bad.
This is kind of, I think that's an interesting talk actually, because this is kind of when we're really getting into Spidey's put on a lot of muscle since Amazing Fantasy.
Yeah, he's looking swole.
He's looking swole without, he's still not that Ramita swole yet, especially around his arms, which I appreciate. But he's definitely, Ditko's really started to using, okay, it's definitely a blue costume, but we're going to start giving some black muscle highlights. Like we're going to really show that this dude, he's not buff, but he's athletic. He's got like a sprinter's body or like a boxer's build. So I appreciate that. He, like you say, it's like then the eyes as well, and the web pattern with Stanley and the logo. Everything's kind of finalized for Spidey now, and we're really starting to get into like this is what Spider-Man will look like for the rest of his career.
I didn't even think about that, but you're definitely right.
But yeah, so it's just jumping into the issue itself. We start with Jonah on TV with a nice little like touch of like, oh, he's like ranting on Spider-Man, and he's going to like everyone's kind of watching it. It's just always really funny to just see how they mention it as well. He's like he's publisher of Now magazine and the Daily Bugle, so he's got two separate things. So there is a bit of continuity check there. Now magazine will never get brought up again until like Dan Slott, I think.
Yeah,
but at least it shows that Ditko and Lee weren't like forgetting about what the original name. It's just Jameson's a really rich guy.
Yeah. Well, it looks like you might be reading his essays on the TV.
Yeah, he's literally. I think Jameson was the first YouTube video essay, like Spider-Man: A Force for Good or Evil. It's something you can see in your recommended videos.
Yeah, he's probably like one of those video essayists who like you dig into his past and you realize like he's like probably went to like alt-white accounts.
Yeah,
I mean alt-right. Sorry,
like alt mutant accounts. Like he's very like anti-mutant.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh god, but yeah, so we basically see that, and we get a nice little scene of like all of Peter's classmates like watching this, and we're very rare, especially for like early days, is they're all kind of really supportive of Spider-Man, and like they don't agree with Jameson at all. It's kind of a theme that's going to be kicking off with this. Is Lee likes to make it that the young people know what's actually the truth, whereas all the older characters are like befuddled or like too bitter to realize what's going on with Peter. I like this touch as well because up till this point we've always kind of had like Flash Thompson and Liz Allen, they've always kind of been like the stock, they're just assholes to Peter. But now we're actually getting says, oh, these kids are alright. They're just kids. And like Peter's the weird one, so they just pick on him occasionally. But he also kind of justifies it because as we see him here, he's like deliberately acting like an asshole so that they don't figure out he's Spider-Man.
Yeah, you're right. I think they're beginning to get the dynamic where we're making it feel like something natural for a human being to do, and not just typical like shenanigans that you just. I don't know how to describe it. It just feels like it's being written a lot better than before. Yeah,
we're starting to flesh these characters out, and like especially Flash, who like as we're going to like into this issue is like he really kind of this is like one of his biggest issue, by far, and we get a lot of his character. Which maybe we'll go into because Flash is one of those like he's the only one of this bunch that really sticks around.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. No, actually, Yeah, when you really boil it down, this is a Flash Thompson story, which is a Peter Parker story.
Mm-hmm. Especially be like he's the one who goes for the really like the emotional arc here. But yeah, so Peter kind of just starts slamming on Spider-Man, and Flash like tells him to like piss off because he's being an asshole. But he's like, well, I have to keep my identity. But he's getting annoyed with Flash. But then suddenly a very curious image as we see a single metal gloved hand looking on the TV. Someone I never expected to be a fan of J.J. Jameson's, like, just watching this shit is Doctor Doom. And Doctor Doom is just, like, apparently just watches TV as he builds shit. And that's just one of the details I adore.
Yeah, no, I think that's super fun too. But well, I imagine whatever Jonah J. Wait, did they ever say what Jonah J. Jameson's on?
I think they don't say what channel he's on.
Yeah, well, I just see if it was the news or not. Because if not, it looks like Jonah J. Jameson might just have like a Jerry Springer looking show.
Yeah.
and I just love the idea that Dr. Doom has like a guilty pleasure of shitty daytime talk show.
Doom must watch the highlights on YouTube.
Doom wishes to see who is the father of Tyrell.
I must know. Richards doesn't, so I must need it. Like he hardcore like gets like a moral epic plays about it, and then like he starts like looking into like I know who the father is. I have my own lie detector device, which is far superior to theirs. I could totally see him doing that shit if like he just got bored one afternoon.
Yeah, straight up.
But yeah, so Doom's watching the advertisement of Spider-Man, and a wicked idea comes across him where he's like, well, every time I attack the Fantastic Four, they have fought me to a standstill. Alone, I do not seem to be able to defeat them. But with one such as Spider-Man at my side, even that accursed quartet would not be able to save themselves from my wrath. So, like, he's so fucking... Like, at this point, if you had read Fantastic Four, Dr. Doom's established as being recurring villain who always loses. But he never thinks he loses. He strategically retreats.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite aspects that continues till modern day. Like even with like Squirrel Girl, there's an issue where like she turns up to like his castle and they're like, oh, don't you remember that one issue where like Squirrel Girl beat the fuck out of you, Dr. Doom, and it shows that panel of like him getting attacked by squirrels, but then like Dr. Doom says it from his perspective where he's like, I am not being bothered in the slightest by these squirrels, however I realize I have another appointment and must leave. You are spared this time by my one act of mercy.
Icon, legend.
This is the best. So he's like, the Fantastic Four have always managed to escape me, like always managed to like thwart my plans. And we get this like last really I haven't read Kirby and Lee's Fantastic Four in a while, but just this scene, this little like flashback is so I love it so much.
Go back. Yeah.
So like Dr. Doom just jumps out of a plane and the thing's like, come back, you can't cheat me out of my revenge. And then like Reed's like, Ben, get out of the way, I can still reach and grab him. Ben, no. It's just such like
it's so melodramatic.
It's so melodramatic. It's so goofy. Yeah, it's just adorable. I love it so much. It's so earnest.
Yeah.
Dr. Doom managed to escape, and so he decides, well, with Spider-Man on my side, it will be the edge I need. And he's not wrong, because this has been established that Spider-Man can, like, fight with the Fantastic Four. Like, he's the issue one of this. This is actually, like, a very... I've literally only just thought about this. But this is kind of a really nice arc of where we start Spider-Man fighting the Fantastic Four, and then Dr. Doom assumes, like the Fantastic Four assumed at the end of their issue, well, maybe he could be a villain. And Dr. Doom's like, well, if he's the villain, I can recruit him. So Dr. Doom thinks Spider-Man is a Fantastic Four villain at this point, which is really, really like a nice arc of how we've seen Peter grow past that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. Well, and as you think, like, kind of like we said, this whole, we see Peter become the hero arc. It's interesting because like Dr. Doom probably called him up right before Fantastic Four. or like right after Fantastic Four was like, hey, we don't want you. Peter might be like, yeah, sure, why not? They're mean to me.
He might have, because he would have been naive. He would have been desperate for money.
Yeah, Doctor Doom would have easily sweet talked him if once he figured out who and what Peter is, which is interesting to think about because I think Doctor Doom and Spider-Man together could totally take the Fantastic Four.
Oh, easy.
Yeah, well, right now in this comic, I don't know about modern.
Oh yeah, modern like Sue would fuck him up, but
yeah.
But right now, especially when like Doctor Doom always is like such a big challenge, is like especially if like prep time and like Peter like figured ways out to like help them out, they could definitely be like the biggest threat. But then of course Doom would just kill him once he's done.
Doom will not kill the Spider.
Doom will not kill.
Doom respects him too much.
Doom respects no one but Doom.
Doom does not have as much distaste for Spider-Man as he has for others.
Yeah, he has levels of distaste. That is not his levels of respect. He has lower. You all get to be on a tier list.
Yeah. On a scale of 1 to versus a scale of 1 to Richards on
Oh, that's great. But yeah, so he's found this really like kind of kooky, but kind of also like, would that work? Device is where Dr. Doom like figures out that Spider-Man has spider sense. So then he kind of like finds a spider and then finds some like comic book confulery to put a transmitter in the spider's like spider sense to try and contact Spider-Man, and it works. And it's just one of those 60s goofy ideas which I kind of love because we're establishing the spider sense as like something that can like do more than just sense danger. Like it's like almost like supernatural at this point. Excuse me. So yeah, we're going into that, and he contacts Peter, who's like just fucking around in his basement, which is a really funny panel.
yeah. I thought that panel was so funny. I think it's because I can't figure out what he's trying to do with the webs.
He's just like twirling them, which is like, yeah, I could see that.
He's just doing Spider-Man ballet.
I mean, like, again, it's just one of those things that humanizes him. It makes him like, if you had Spider-Man powers, there would just be some days where you're just like, I'm just gonna sit on the wall and just like twirl those shit. It's fun.
Yeah, for real.
But yeah, he so Dr. Doom contacts him, and then what happens after that, Matt?
Well, after he's done calling the Spider-Man, Peter, he never says who he is. Yeah, so Peter's like, well, I guess he better find this dude. And then Spider-Man, sees through the window like, oh shit, it's him. And then pops in, and then he starts questioning Doctor Doom of what the hell he wants to do with Spider-Man.
And we get this like really nice. This is like, so we've had Dr. Octopus, but Dr. Octopus is like a Spider-Man's rogue. This is the first time Peter Parker's interacted with another person supervillain, and what a way to start out than like the Marvel supervillain. Like it's kind of that. It's actually kind of like the MCU kind of copied this. Is where the first time Spider-Man meets someone else's villain, it's the big bad. Is that they did it in Infinity Wars? Like the first villain he meets is Thanos. Like the first villain he meets here is Doctor Doom. Like he never starts small, even though everything around him is small. Which is nice, kind of a nice touch of it makes him the underdog to the highest degree.
Yeah, that's interesting. I really like that was a really cool MCU comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's just like you throw him in with the big dogs to show how much of a little dog he is, but he's the one with like the most bite.
Yeah, exactly. But Doom starts, asking him if he wants to join. And then this might be my favorite Doom quote, because Spider-Man roasts him, talking about, to summarize it, he just says, "You ain't got no friends, Chief." and Doom is like, "Friendships for weaklings. What I offer you is power. Together we can rule the world." And that's such a great Doctor Doom line.
Exactly. He's just like, You're an outcast the same as I. You do not dare not reveal your true identity. And yet, right under your nose, the Fantastic Four barks in the limelight while you are shunned and hunted. And I'm like, you legit have a point.
Yeah.
It is always kind of funky in the Marvel Universe, like where the Fantastic Four and the Avengers get such a good rep, but like Spider-Man and the X-Men get completely shat on, like 24/7.
Yeah, I'll say, I don't know. I always like to think at like the point that we are in like the modern Marvel comics that Spider-Man just isn't getting shat on anymore, because like any Spider-Man shit's just doesn't make sense anymore. Like right now, where the comic is, it kind of makes sense because he's still pretty new. But like Chief, he's been here for like a decade now. Clearly he's out here saving your life.
Mm-hmm. And then, you think it would have been like public knowledge at this point?
Yeah, and then yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know. I guess the X-Men thing's just because people are racist.
Yeah, one of those things. But then you're like, well, Jean Grey is more aesthetically pleasing than the Fig, folks.
Yeah. I'm not a big I'm not a big Jean Grey guy.
yeah, I get you. All right, we'll just go with like, Wolverine's more aesthetically pleasing than the Fig.
Yeah, that's very fair.
But
I know, but he got
the
this
thing's
beautiful
blue eyes put him over in my book. But yeah, so apart from Ben Grimm's doughy features, we've got Spider-Man decides to basically fix this whole team up. He knows for like he's evolved from this point. He's not desperate to team up with people. He's kind of his own guy, and he can tell straight away that it's not the best idea to team up with somebody who's called Doctor Doom.
Yeah,
like not really the nicest, like most wholesome guy in the world. So Doom immediately he webs him up, but then it's a Doom bot. And it's just really funny to me because the Doom bot just stands there like really defiantly with his arms on its side.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Doom just comes out of like a secret door like, "You brazen fool! Haven't you guessed it yet?" And he like comes out and he's like, "Dr. Doom." And he's like, oh, by the way, all your other foes, all these other enemies for these last 4 issues, yeah, they're garbage. I'm the real shit. So like
Doom cannot be trapped.
Doom cannot be trapped so easily, but Spider-Man can't be trapped that easily either. And we get this nice little it's like we get an interesting thing because Doom's territory, so the whole place is booby trapped. So there's like trapdoors and there's like secret levers and stuff. But Spider-Man's so agile, he actually managed to keep up with them, and it's a nice. It's a bit like the Fantastic Four fight of when there's not a winner here for this first scuffle. It's just like they're both really competent and they're both testing the waters with each other. So like Spider-Man throws a blow, Doom throws him back, and Spider-Man's like, oh shit, he's got super strength. And then Doom fires a laser and Spider-Man dodges it, and Doom's like, oh shit, this kid's really fast. And then a really nice tactic, which I like, and kind of something I like about Spider-Man, is he's almost become aware that he will always lose the first fight, so he just dips. He just leaves and he's like, you know what, I'm not gonna deal with this. I'm just gonna be able to go. I'm just gonna go back and hide in the water and escape because there's no one to save here. I'm literally just risking my life. There's no point me fighting this guy.
Yeah, especially in his own home base. which I don't know why it looks like Dr. Doom was just like in a random apartment building.
Exactly, which he then proceeds to blow up after he's done with it.
Doom no longer has needs for this building.
Exactly, it's so hardcore because he's got so many supervillain bases. He literally just blows up his last one the moment he's not even phased. He's just like, yep, that one's been discovered. Spider-Man's not gonna tell anyone. He just ran away, but fuck it.
Yeah. He's like, I don't need this shit no more.
It's really funny. And then Peter Parker kind of just like, well, shit, I'll just take photos of this burning building and blame it on Spider-Man as I get money from it.
Yeah.
Not really the most ethical journalism there, Pete.
No. I mean, yeah, Peter is not an ethical journalist, but he's got a good heart.
He's also 50, so we got to give it to him. He's 50 and poor.
Yeah.
We'll let him off. But yeah, so he goes to the photos to give it to Jonah. I'm just mentioning this because it's a very short scene, but I'll mention it very quickly because this is the first time we get Peter Parker mention. Oh, I like Betty Brant. She's nice because Betty Brant's like sticking up for Spider-Man. And as we get further into these issues, this is going to become This is going to be his first love interest is Peter Parker and Betty Brant. And what do you think about that, Matt?
I think it's kind of weird because Betty Brant to me always gave off a vibe. The only time I didn't find it weird was like the Tobey Maguire movies because they felt like they were very similar in age.
Mm-hmm.
Betty Brant always feels like way older than Peter.
See, the thing is, and they mentioned that in like Spectacular, like the modern adaptions have a different relationship with Betty Brant than they did here because when this was written, it was normal for a girl to just not be in high school and just have a job already when she was like 15 in the 60s, like to be a secretary. That was just what people did because again, the education wasn't that kind of thing. It was just like in the 60s, if you were a young girl, you didn't have to go to school; you could just get a job.
Oh, I feel. I'll say, well, I guess you could easily rewrite it to be like she was an intern.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people do. Like, Spectacular did it where she was just like, she was only like a couple years older than Peter, and like she didn't go to university after she finished high school or something. But it is kind of a thing of in Spider-Man adaptions is you kind of have to justify why is J.J. Jameson's secretary hitting on this 16-year-old because it was a different time back then. Because again, it was different for women of that age to be able to. They're so much better now with being able to get a better education and be able to be. You don't have to just go straight into the working world and be like in a dead end job working for Jolly Jonah.
Let's say, well, it wasn't even the job part as much as like, well, she also just looks straight up way older than Peter. To me.
I wouldn't say she looks older than any of the other girls Ditko draws here. Like I think she doesn't look that much older than Liz Allen. Like maybe the way she's dressed, because she's dressed more businesslike. Yeah, I can see what you mean now that I'm comparing her.
Yeah, well, I think that and like her hairstyle and stuff, it screams a lot more like a 28-year-old than a 17, 18-year-old like how old like Liz Allen is. Well, I don't know Liz Allen's supposed to be like Peter's age, but you know what I mean.
I get you.
Yeah. But yeah, but no, I always like Betty Brant. I always think she's a good, fun foil to put in the mix in the Daily Planet crew.
The Daily Planet.
Yeah, Daily. I meant Daily Bugle.
But that's a good thing. Because that's a point. Because Betty Brant is very much meant to be in the many ways how Peter. Lois Lane. In the Bizarro Lois Lane. In many ways that Peter Parker's the Bizarro Superman she's the Lois Lane who isn't the reporter, she's the hard hitting like take no shit person. She's the Lois Lane who is the meekish, like shy, wants to just settle down with a good man who isn't a superhero kind of thing. Whereas Lois Lane likes the action and the excitement and stuff like that. It's like the inverse of Clark Kent pines over Lois Lane who loves Superman. It's Peter Parker pines over Betty Brant, who hates Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And at this point, she doesn't, but that becomes a major plot thread in the later issues. But yeah, Betty's fine. I like her as a first girlfriend. I think it makes sense for she be the first person he dates for a little bit. It ends horribly, and then he gets a learning experience from it, and then like when he goes to college, he meets Gwen. That's always my head canon, because that's canon, but it's also just like I think it makes sense for him as a young guy. Everyone has that like brief early date where you both don't really know what you're going, but you're both nice people, but you're both too young and you both really kind of fuck it up. And then when you get older and then you meet, oh, this person's actually really better for me, and I know what I'm doing now because I've done this before.
Damn, Chief, we got a little too real, like, right quick. Ow. Hey, don't call me out like that.
Oh, dear.
But yeah, no. Wow, Spider-Man's so cool. What an interesting take. Yeah, no. I never really thought of Betty Brant like that, but when you put it like that, it makes Betty Brant really, really appealing as a character. It makes Peter Parker feel a lot more like a real person.
Mm-hmm. and especially like as we then she like her as just like, as she continues in the Spider-Man books, like Flash Thompson, she's always around. She has like the most tumultuous, like really sad love life in the world, with like Ned Leeds then getting his throat slit in Germany, and then like she dates Flash Thompson, and then Flash Thompson ends up in a wheelchair. It's like Betty Wright has no and then she's dating Ned Leeds. She's about to get married to Ned Leeds, and then she cheats on him with Peter, like in the fucking 70s. That happened.
Oh no, Peter.
Yeah, that no one mentions that.
Come on now, Peter.
It was just a bit after Gwen died as well, because he was just like, homie's lonely.
Wow, F in the chat.
No, Jesus Christ. But yeah, so like moving past like the heavier stuff, we get something really funny and something really endearing actually. So in order to scare Peter Parker, because he was shitting on Spider-Man, and they're like, well, this will show him, we'll just jump out and scare him. Flash Thompson and all the high school gang have decided to make their own Spider-Man costume for Flash to wear and jump out and like scare Peter, which is just like really this is like Scooby-Doo, like Saturday morning cartoon level hijinks, and I really love it.
Yeah, no, also from now on I will only refer to him as Flash Thompson and the gang.
Flash Thompson and the gang, yeah.
No, I'm sorry, what did you say? And the high school gang.
The high school gang.
But yeah, no, honestly, Alfie, question, as a cosplayer, how would you rank his Spider-Man costume?
It's like dead on.
Yeah. It's pretty good. It looks a little baggier, but it's pretty good.
That's what I like. I actually like the very small detail is we know how Ditko draws muscle shading on Peter is a lot different than how he draws it on Flash, because Flash is bigger, but the suit isn't as form-fitting, so it's like it's a bit baggy. He looks a bit like a chubbier Spider-Man, whereas Peter's very skinny, but the suit is like perfect on him, so it shows all his definition. I like that touch. It's very subtle, because other than that, it's identical. And really, unlike some other things where it's like, oh, how did they make an identical costume? We're supposed to believe that Peter Parker himself made this. So of course the other high schoolers working together could make the same thing.
Yeah.
Low-key, it's probably better than his actual costume at this point.
Yeah, I was like, probably. I mean, I guarantee you, someone from the high school gang had to take a sewing class.
Yeah, and Peter Parker says he doesn't know how to sew, and so I mean, I think the seams are much nicer on this one. If it was like if they made like an adaptation of this, I would actually really love if like the Flash Thompson Spider-Man costume that he idolizes is like way better than Spider-Man's actual costume.
Yeah, that'd be kind of great.
Yeah, but so Flash does that. And we get a very interesting set of circumstances that, again, is very just like misfortunate events, but it's like kind of hilarious. It's like a skit. It's like a cartoon skit because it's so funny. But like all these characters, like, so Dr. Doom's like, well, Spider-Man won't join me. He's my enemy, and I'm going to use him to trap the Fantastic Four. So he uses his. Peter's really lucky because, again, Dr. Doom's no joke. He immediately finds a way to track Spider-Man without alerting his spider sense, and gets in the general vicinity of him. And like, so to set the scene for anyone who doesn't have the issue, is Peter's walking down one side of a fence, and then on the other side of the fence, Flash Thompson's getting in his costume and is ready to jump out on him. And Dr. Doom sees them both, but obviously he sees the guy in the Spider-Man costume, and because the sensors say Spider-Man's there, he thinks, well, that must be Spider-Man. So, unaware, Peter Parker just had his life saved by Flash Thompson, because Flash Thompson ends up getting kidnapped by Dr. Doom instead.
It's so good. But the best part is, like, you can tell that Peter can tell what's happening, and he just keeps walking.
He's like completely unaware. Like, we don't even get any of Peter's words. We don't know what he's thinking or anything. It's just all like while he's just walking down the street, and then all the flash bubbles, and then Dr. Doom like saying, "Well, shit, that was easy."
Yeah. And Dr. Doom's like, "Well, I'm taking you back to the helicopter. Let's go."
He's very quick about it. But yeah, so Flash gets kidnapped. And then suddenly on the news, and it's not J.J. Jameson this time, but apparently anyone in the Marvel Universe could just get a TV program because Doctor Doom comes on and he has a drastic... I love this quote. It's just so funny. This is Doctor Doom. I have resorted to this drastic means to communicate with the Fantastic Four. He thinks going on TV is drastic.
Yeah.
He's got like a camera set up and everything. And he's just like, as you can see, I hold Spider-Man, a helpless captive. Unless the Fantastic Four promise to disband and surrender me one at a time, Spider-Man will forfeit his life. I will wait exactly 1 hour for a reply. And I'm just like, damn, it's kind of cold, but also like not the worst plan in the world.
Yeah, I just love the camera because obviously that means Doom films more stuff than just this. Like I think Doctor Doom probably has a cooking show or something.
Yeah, Doom prepares an omelet, and it's like really good. Like he's like really high subscribed to. And like all the Marvel heroes are like, we fucking hate him, but the dude's a goddamn great cook.
Yeah. He changed my entire muffin recipe around.
It's fantastic.
Didn't.
Hey, but yeah, so.
Yeah, I like to think Doctor Doom blocks anyone, or like not blocks them, but reports anyone who uses the word "fantastic" in his comment section.
I think he doesn't just report them; he like sends a Doom bot to like kill their family.
Probably.
So that's the thing. Is like one of the reasons I love Doctor Doom. If Doctor Doom took over the world would be a better place, except for those people on his hit list, and he has that have personally grievanced him, and they would have the most horrible punishments imaginable. Because Doctor Doom is above all, as intelligent as he is, as powerful as he is, as perfect as he is. His defining flaw is that he's the most petty motherfucker in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, no, I mean, if he just wasn't petty, he'd probably be the greatest hero in the Marvel Universe.
Literally. That's why I love him so much. His ego and his pettiness is just all that.
He's got the biggest clout, hardest, always flexing.
Always. But yeah, so Peter sees this, and he realizes that Flash must be in trouble because like Liz phones him up and is like, Flash is missing. We don't know what's happened, and he puts 2 and 2 together and says, "Oh, that guy in the Spider-Man costume Doctor Doom has must be Flash." Then, and we get a nice little line of Aunt May being the Peter. I'm surprised Peter doesn't have a reaction to this because she's just like, "Thank heavens that awful creature, his prisoner, is only Spider-Man, who is probably as much as a menace as Doctor Doom."
Yeah. Aunt May should called out. I always like the idea that Aunt May isn't really huge on Spider-Man.
Yeah, especially like early days.
Yeah, like I always feel like after she sees him in action, like once they have a story where it comes in action, she's like, oh, Spider-Man's chill. But I always like the beginning stuff where she's like, Spider-Man's sketchy.
Exactly, because that also like justifies. Well, of course, Peter's not going to tell her she's Spider-Man. He's Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly, and it helps, still with the idea that Lee wanted to present that the kids actually knew the truth while the adults were still stuck in the past.
Exactly, that's a good point. So yeah, we also get this like, so this is something I really like, and it's something I want to mention to a lot of people, is Peter has an edge to him. Peter isn't like really that nice of a guy, especially at this moment. He is, at first, we get this really like sinister panel up, the most sinister he's been drawn yet. When he finds out that Flash has been kidnapped by Doctor Doom, his first response is, "Thank God, I hope Doom kills him."
Yeah, that's really messed up when you think about it.
It's super messed up, but again, this is a 16-year-old kid, and this guy who's bullied him every night. I think every person in the world has been like, after they've been bullied, has been like, "Oh, I wish that person would just die. I hate him so much."
Yeah,
like, that's your gut reaction.
Yeah. Like if Spider-Man was like if this was like a 27-year-old Spider-Man, it'd be kind of like, "Whoa, Peter, you good?"
Yeah, he'd
but
be like really out of character.
Yeah, but but when you're a teenage kid and everything in your life sucks, like you can't blame him too much. It's just a natural reaction.
Mm-hmm. And it's also, again, it's showing he's still that guy that let the robber get away. That guy's still there. He's trying to make himself better, but it's like Tony Stark. It's like all the Marvel heroes have this. They're all assholes who are trying to make themselves better. It's like Tony Stark is like, he's still that guy that sold weapons for money. Like at the end, and that creeps out now and again. Is Peter Parker is always going to have to deal with the fact that he was the type of guy who let a robber get away. It's why I'm like, Aunt May and Ben Parker don't have to be purely good people. They don't have to be the Kents, because Peter Parker wasn't raised like Clark Kent. He isn't a nice guy when he's raised. So that tells you a lot about, well, Uncle Ben we know is nice, but he wasn't perfect, and they do the best they can. But again, like anyone, everyone's got their demons, and this is Peter's demon. Because again, this is the bullied kid, the Dr. Octopus in him lashing out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, he does make a good comeback, though. I mean, his first thought might be me, but immediately he's like, whoa, what am I doing?
Exactly. And I like the framing of Peter Parker thinks Flash is gone. Like, he even says that, but he says this direct quote is, Flash Thompson will never bother Peter Parker again. It's the only time he mentions his name. And then that's the panel with his face. And then just the really cool, like, half Peter Parker face, half Spider-Man face thing. And then we get Spider-Man's thoughts. And then Spider-Man's like, the real Spider-Man will have to go into action again. So Peter Parker wants Flash gone. Spider-Man has to save him. That's just the character. That's what this character is about. We may be human and petty and horrible, but under the mask, anyone could be a hero.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's so interesting because like there's this little panels like that Stan Lee and Ditko throw out, and it gets everything perfectly, and then like you'll have like 6 more pages and you'll never see anything like that again, and then it just pops out again.
Mm-hmm. It's like there's little bursts of gold. Like everything else is great, but they really know how to sell a moment. Like this is a moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, I really like the gold idea. Like it's like you're mining for coal or something you kind of need, but then boom, you pop in the gold every now and then.
Mm-hmm. And again, if there was a moment on every panel, they wouldn't be as effective.
Yeah, exactly.
So Peter decides to sneak out the house. We get a nice little scene of like, they could have easily just wrote, oh, well, Peter just jumps out the window and like he goes to save Flash, but they actually have to like justify that Aunt May obviously isn't going to let her basically her teenage son run out in the middle of the night after Dr. Doom has announced he's going to kill someone on live TV. Like, so of course she's going to say, you can't just go out. So he literally has to blow his fuse so he could go out and buy a new one or something. I don't know how electricity worked in the 60s with this, but I'll roll with it.
Yeah, I'll say, well, I'm confused too, because like what usually you do is like if the fuse blows out, like, you just kind of like either reset it or get a new one, and then everything goes back on. But he says I need to buy new lights, like straight up light bulbs. So like, did all the light bulbs pop? I don't. If anyone is listening, grew up in the 60s, please comment to explain for us millennials.
Yeah.
Boomers, we need your help.
We need your help. We don't understand these ways. I guess maybe it is that, and he's just like, well, Aunt May doesn't know. Me and Ben did the electrics, so
yeah,
maybe that's it. But yeah, it's nice as well. Is he's like afterwards, he's like, that felt awful. I didn't like lying to her, but I have to because this guy's gonna die.
Yeah, you always got to justify the lie. And then, let's see, what happens next? And then he's just swimming around trying to figure out where Doom Boy's at, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. We get a nice, like, it's a bit fillerish, but it's also nice just being able to see, like, more swing. This is, like, the first time we're really getting Spider-Man swinging in the city drawn by Ditko. We don't get a lot of swinging shots, like, especially less than you think. Yeah,
you're right. This is the first time we really see him swinging around. that I can recall.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really like that last panel where it's like, where he says, you know, I ought to have my head examined for knocking myself out to rescue a guy who's my worst enemy. But hold it, I'm going to send something. I just think that's a really cool looking shot of Spider-Man's face. I like Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man's face shots for some reason.
Mm-hmm. That looks very McFarlane.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It looks. I think that's why I like it. It looks really 90s.
Mm-hmm. I can see that being where like the big eyes come from. Is people were like, wow, Ditko draws it of that's how Spider-Man expresses, and when he's like surprised, his eyes will go like big, like 90s style. But it looks good, so I think people just like made that the default.
Yeah, you're right, which is not always the best in my opinion, because then you kind of lose something with Spider-Man, because then like the eyes get too big if you're trying to be expressive.
Mm-hmm. They get like in Mark Bagley's eyes get like cover like half the face, which I like. I love Mark Bagley's Spider-Man, but like anyone else trying to copy him, like he makes it work, but anyone else trying to copy that, it would just be like ridiculous.
Yeah, no, definitely. You say I noticed Ditko doesn't do very often, which I always kind of like it. I always like it when they do the Spider-Man squint.
Yes,
I love the Spider-Man.
The very like Ditko eyes that's like his most iconic. That Ditko squinting is like his most iconic look for Spider-Man for me. And again, like he doesn't do it often, but yeah, for some reason it feels like the most distinctly him.
Yeah. Also, yeah. No, isn't that weird? But yeah, no. Spider-Man finally he could feel something. What's he feeling? Oh yeah, his spider senses, finally kind of kicking in, and then I just love the scene where goes back into the factory, and then Flash is like begging to be let out.
Yeah, poor guy.
Spider-Man's like, silence, you cringing, sniveling coward. The famous Spider-Man, bah.
I love a good bah. Bah.
I just love the idea that Dr. Doom still has to figure out, like, oh shit, this is not the right Spider-Man.
Literally, I'm like, he feels like a hardcore disappointed, and like he's like, I thought you were cool, man.
yeah, no, but it's just better because he fought him before. Like, I would kind of get this if he's like, I thought this was a real Spider-Man, like if he never met him, but like Spider-Man, but Flash is like has a few inches on Peter. He doesn't talk like Peter.
Are you suggesting that Dr. Doom would not be able to notice such meaningful differences? Bah! Doom does not pay attention to ones below Doom. Doom simply sees all weaklings as weak.
Interesting.
There's justification. He just sees every Spider-Man person in a costume as...
Wow, thank you for rationalizing that for me. I take it back now. That makes sense now in Dr. Doom's head.
This is just everything makes sense in Dr. Doom's head. But yeah, so Spider-Man does show up, and this is also I gotta love this. This all right.
I love this entire sequence.
But just before the sequence, because that's like Ditko. Stan Lee was the greatest. Like, listen to this. And now, settle back and prepare to witness the gold dangiest, ding bustiest, rip snortiest super characters fight you've ever seen. Like, that's just the best introduction, like, hype, man. Why wasn't Stan Lee, like, writing WWE intros?
Good question.
Because, you don't need to put that there. But he does, because he's like talking to the fans. He's like, you want to see Dr. Doom and Spider-Man fight for real? So do I. This shit's going to be great. Look.
Yeah. He's like, check this out.
It's like when you like Dragon Ball Z. You're like, this was my favorite fight. Check it out. You're like really excited to show your friend. He's like, well, look what we made. Me and Ditko did this shit.
Yeah, no. I mean, I just really do think this fight's cool, though, just because, like, this is, like, the moment where I feel like Peter, like, can figure out, like, well, I think it's cool because I think it ties back to like what he was doing in the beginning. Like, remember when we said he was doing ballet? Mm-hmm. I think actually what he was doing, he was probably just practicing like theories with his webs, and then we actually get to see him. So we actually get to see him straight flexing, because I don't think we've really seen much of this before.
We haven't seen it since. Like, Spider-Man does so much cool shit here that he never uses ever again in, like, modern comics. It's like, do you know that game, Shattered Dimensions?
I don't remember most of it, no.
Alright, so, like, how 616, like, it's multiple dimension Spider-Man, and how 616 Peter fights in that game is a lot like this, is where he'll he'll make his webs into shapes, and like billy clubs and like fight people with them. And I think that's a really cool idea. It's kind of hokey, but it works for like, that's a video game, this is a comic book. Maybe in live action it wouldn't work as well, but again, that's also kind of like, I'm fine with a homecoming suit having so much tech, because then you can justify them doing shit like this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I wish we saw shit like this more. Like the web shield, I think is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then
he makes like a ball made of web, which is like got like, Ditko draws it. Ditko's really like flexing on like, I know how to draw webs real good.
yeah. He's like, oh, something cool. And then, oh yeah, and then I forgot he makes the ice shield's also super cool.
Yeah, like, so Doctor Doom's like, so it's like a one-upmanship. It's like Doctor Doom fires at him with the finger gun. Spider-Man makes a web shield and he webs up the finger gun because he's like, I saw you do that last time. Don't try it again, because nothing works on Spider-Man twice. But then Doctor Doom's like, okay, I'm going to weaponize the rest. I weaponized the floor, but now I'm going to start using elemental attacks. So he starts like making ice come from the ceiling with like from the building that he's booby trapped. And then Spider-Man's like, well, that shit ain't going to work on me. Like, why doesn't Spider-Man do this? Would be a lot more useful in like situations get like Sandman and Hydra Man. He makes like web shields that stop ice and then like starts spinning them around. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's a big Spider-Man pizza pie.
Yeah, and then Doctor Doom gets out like this like gyro circuit of like attacking, like, it's very hard to describe it unless you're actually like seeing it, but it's like like a
they look like electrons.
Yeah. That's better explanation.
Yeah. So, well, because it reminds me of the Jimmy Neutron intro. Or like the transition slide.
Doctor Doom throws him a brain blast.
Yeah. Doctor Doom straight up brain blasting Spider-Man.
And then Spider-Man sees it and he's like, you sure have some interesting hobbies, Doc. And then Doctor Doom, the absolute Chad, is like, more interesting than you suspect.
I watched Jeremy Springer.
He's like, I like to watch daytime TV. Doom must know who the parent is.
Yeah, for real.
Oh my god. But yeah, so like Spider-Man does like a very cool agility thing where he starts like to stop the spinning balls, he like throws a web at the base so like it stops the mechanism, it like jams it. So very smart from Spider-Man's head. But then this really cool, like, this is like ridiculous, like the king of motion. And like his comic book action is so good. Is Doctor Doom sets like the floor on fire. So we get Spider-Man leaping off the floor, his hands on the wall. And the next panel, Spider-Man's hands are going back from the wall because his momentum's like gone into a backflip, and now his legs are on the wall, and then he jumps off from his legs onto the wall up to the ceiling, and you rise with the Spider-Man as he goes, and it's just such a cool sequence. I don't know if you think the same, Matt.
I know that seems really cool. I think it's really interesting is how he shows the fire moving.
Yeah, like it's rising.
Yeah, like I feel like most artists, especially back then, would have just kept the fire kind of at the same level. But I think that's such a weird little detail that I feel like only Ditko and Kirby or like the two guys who would care enough to, make that fire move with Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. But then again, it's like they're one up each other because Spider-Man gets out of the way of that, but then he lands where Doctor Doom planned him to land, and he gets on an electric fall. So again, Doctor Doom's using ice, fire, lightning. He's using all these different elements against Spider-Man, but Spider-Man's always like keeping up with him. The really cool panel of like Spider-Man is like getting first like stunned by it, and like they got the yellow around him, and like Ditko draws like a really like definitive like Spider-Man look there. Like his eyes are much bigger than he normally draws them.
Yeah, I think the panel right underneath is really cool because is that the first time that we got confirmation of what Spider-Man's hand should look like?
Oh my god, yeah, I think so.
because that's a lot of important like Spider-Man like things happened in this issue, but I feel like people don't discuss. So I'm kind of glad we're doing it. But yeah, from what I remember reading so far, it's like the first time we've really seen like the web, the web hand, like define it as the way it is, because I feel like that's such a little defining thing as Spider-Man, because everyone draws it the same or should be doing it the same.
And at the moment here, it's like webs across the palm, and then the thumb's got his own web pattern.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, I think it's just cool that we finally see, because I think maybe it just might be nostalgia for me because of the Raimi movies, but like the way Spider-Man has his hand when he shoots webs is like really like important to me.
Yeah, it's important to everyone. It's one of those like distinctly every little kid in the world knows how to do the Spider-Man pose. Like when I go in cosplay and like people want to take photos, it's always you kneel down with the kid and you do the pose, and then the kid does the pose and they get such a big smile on their face from it. Like it's got such power to it, but it's like it's such a nonsensical. It's like it's the rock on sign, but Spider-Man's turned it into his own thing. For anyone curious about like the history of the pose itself, NerdSync recently posted a video about like Steve Ditko drawing the hands of Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and why they're so similar with like the hand motions. It's really interesting and informative, and I recommend anyone who's interested about this kind of Ditko's art style and where all that comes from should go check it out.
Interesting. Color me intrigued.
Color me intrigued as well, as Spider-Man escapes from that trap. The robot from earlier grabs him from behind.
You fool! You forgot about my robot once more.
He's literally, the fools are continuing, and then like a death ray kicks in. And like Doctor Doom, one of my funniest things here is like Spider-Man just like throws the Doom bot at Doctor Doom, and then Doctor Doom, as he's getting hit by the Doom bot, just like, you rely on brute strength, and in the next panel he's like on the floor, like
yeah, he's like, oh fuck, like you can tell Doctor Doom's like ID, he's just like, oh my god, that hurts so bad, please, I just need to figure out how to beat this guy.
He just cannot let this kid know that he's actually pressuring him. He will not let a 15-year-old beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, exactly.
So Spider-Man fights this device, which is like a death ray, and then we get this really cool like all the gadgets have been used up. They've used all their tricks. Spider-Man's used all his web. Dr. Doom's used all his like trickery around the house, and it's getting like a brawl. And this is when Spider-Man realizes, oh shit, I'm outmatched, because he's not strong enough to break Dr. Doom's armor, but Dr. Doom's strong enough to punch him. He starts getting really hit, and then not only that is then the death ray thing is still going off, and Dr. Doom gets hit by it. But, of course, his armor's immune to the death ray. So now Spider-Man has to fight a superior foe next to a beam that will insta-kill him.
Yeah. I'll say, but at least it's such a cool fight scene, though. I just love every single panel.
So we get a lot of this, and then Spider-Man gets... This should be... I want this panel to be used a lot more, especially for you, Matt.
Yeah,
you use this word a lot.
The oof one?
The oof.
No, I actually, when I was reading this, as soon as I saw that, I immediately screenshot this. So I'm like, I need to edit this and use this all the time.
Oof.
Oof.
But it's a fantastic punch. Spider-Man gets like taken out, like briefly, he's a bit dazed, and then Doom like throws like down this like very interesting like flashbang almost. Yeah. So Spider-Man can't see.
Like a flashbang strobe light.
But then, so they're very smart. But again, Spider-Man's got the spider sense, so he fights Doctor Doom blind for a little bit, while Doom starts swinging at him with like this broken metal piece. But then finally, as Spider-Man loses his balance, he's about to get finished by Doctor Doom. Like, this is kind of like, we don't get a definitive end here, but Spider-Man's like on the edge. He's outmatched. He's about to lose. And the Fantastic Four show up, and Doom's like, shit, I just used all my booby traps. I can't fight them alone. Time to bail.
It's hard to strategically retreat.
Which I really like. So he runs off, and he's like, so he lets Spider-Man live for another day. I'm actually very curious if like Spider-Man and Doctor Doom don't have a lot of interactions past this point, but you kind of think they would after this, because this is kind of very early Spider-Man, and Doom often doesn't get given a run for his money like this. Like, he didn't beat Doom, but like he challenged him and Doom normally fights teams. Doom's normally the guy who fights the entire Avengers or the entire Fantastic Four. Never 1v1 do people actually manage to pressure him.
Yeah, you're right. I think. Yeah, so the only like thing I remember thinking of is like some event where Doctor Doom and Spider-Man had to work together, but they never even mentioned this. They just talk about how Doom's a Trekkie. Mm-hmm.
I remember that. It's like they're like, why can't we just enter through the door? And then like Doom's like, we must enter through the window, for I am Doom.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've met a couple of times, but this has never really been mentioned that much, at least to my knowledge, which is a shame, because I feel like having Doctor Doom having like not respect, but like an understanding of Spider-Man as he's got potential, but he's squandering it by being a do-gooder kind of thing.
I would always like the idea where like if like, you know, maybe Doctor Doom like talking to another villain like about like heroes and shit, like if he's like, Spider-Man is one of the ones you always have to be fearful for, because everyone underestimates him and he always surprises you.
Yes, I would actually love that. It's like Doctor Doom like hypes up Spider-Man, because like I actually would really like because everyone in the Marvel universe is like, Spider-Man's a C-tier hero. Like even the Avengers are like, Spider-Man's a loser. I would actually really like if Doctor Doom was the only person in the Marvel universe who's like, no, Spider-Man's the real shit. Oh, you guys are fucking losers.
No, exactly. Yeah, I would love that. Where Doctor Doom, the sees the truth. He's like give like if Spider-Man really like, you know, could do this full time and not have to worry about everything, he's like he'd make you all look like fools.
Exactly.
You fools.
Fools. So Spider-Man gets his bacon saved because the Fantastic Four show up, and he immediately is like, well, they'll go save Flash, cause Aunt May's probably worried sick, so I've got to skedaddle. So he goes back home, and then Flash kind of just like left wandering around the trouble, and like I feel really bad for this kid, because again, Flash is doing it was just gonna be a harmless prank, because he wasn't gonna attack Peter, and he was just gonna jump out.
It's just a prank, bro.
This is prank's gone wrong. Flash needs to do a YouTube video of like, I tried to prank a high school kid and Doctor Doom kidnapped me. True story.
Not clickbait.
I'm not clickbait. Oh my god. But yeah, so the Fantastic Four rescue Flash, and then they're like, "Oh, is this Spider-Man?"
Yeah. But Johnny's just like, "Hold up, I've seen Spider-Man. This ain't the real Spider-Man."
But I like as well how like Johnny doesn't know who Peter Parker is, but he can tell the difference between Flash and Spider-Man, but Doctor Doom can't.
Yeah, but my favorite thing is Reed's like, but there's a lot of web here. I think the real Spider-Man was here. Shit, Reed.
Of course he has to touch it.
Yeah. Reed Richards is the dumbest and smartest character of all time.
I really just like to think now, because he touches it, he picks it up, he doesn't realise how sticky it is, and then he doesn't realise it dissolves an hour, so just because it has to hide his hand behind his back while he's got this big web glop on his hand before waiting for it to dissolve.
Yeah, exactly. Like, could he just looked at it, Reed?
I must touch it. But yeah, so he goes up to Aunt May, and manages to tell her that make sure she checks in on her everything, and then we get basically like a bit of a wrap up scene of he goes to Jameson, basically tells him that him and Betty start like flirting with each other as Jameson gives him like, why didn't you get any photos of that event? Peter's like, oh, I was asleep, and then Betty's just like, I think you're wonderful. Again, we're setting up the romances. Peter's walking away. He's like, gosh, I never realised that Betty felt that way about me. As a matter of fact, I never realised how I felt about her either.
What a goof.
He's a big old goofball. And he's like, well, hopefully Flash is embarrassed by all of this. Maybe this will teach him a lesson. But then Flash is like, I wasn't scared of Dr. Doom. He couldn't keep me prisoner for long. When he saw I escaped, he was so worried that I ran out before I get my mitts on him. I'm just like, Flash, you legend.
Well, he is the BMOC.
That's it. He is the BMOC. And then he's literally called a He-Man by Liz. I actually kind of wish this would become like Marvel Comics canon. Is like everyone else but Peter Parker and Doctor Doom think Flash Thompson beat him.
Yeah.
Like the Fantastic Four think, well, maybe Flash Thompson did beat him.
Yeah, like Reed has never ruled that theory out.
Yeah, he's like, it's a possibility. And like he brings it up to Doom and he just wants to piss him off. He's like, remember when you fucking got beat up by a high schooler? He's like, Spider-Man is no fool. No, I meant Flash Thompson. Fuck!
I did not lose to Flash Thompson. I merely let him escape.
I really wish they got to meet when he was Agent Venom, so they could have an actual fight.
Oh, that would have been sweet. Rest in peace.
That is a missed opportunity.
Yeah, for real. Why did no one touch on that?
I don't know. No one needs. No, we didn't make this podcast quick enough. But yeah,
Well, Flash Thompson will probably be back in about 5 years or so, and then they'll probably give him a symbiote again, so they can do it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, last thing is I really like this final image of Peter. For some reason, it's just like this feels like
brother.
Yeah, this feels like it's the most like Steve Ditko like image of like just that's what he looks like when he's just like, oh god damn it.
yeah. So Steve Ditko didn't even draw Peter Parker. That's the Steve Ditko like listening to Stan Lee's like weird rant.
That's like listen to Stanley write Doctor Doom dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah, Ditko's just thinking, is this what Kirby has to deal with all the time?
And then Kirby's just like, oh boy.
Yep.
But yeah, this issue.
Wait, Flash Thompson is Stan Lee.
Oh my god. He is the big MOC.
Yeah, he is.
So yeah, what did you think of this issue, Matt?
I think it's really fun. I don't know. I really like this issue.
Yeah, same here.
Like the weakest part's the cover.
That's it. Everything else about this is gold, especially for like, comic book crossovers. Like normally when we get, especially modern days, when we get people fighting each other's villains, it's always cool. But this was like the first of its kind, and this was fantastic.
Yeah, and this is it's kind of like you said, it's the two big boys.
And I kind of wish this relationship was touched on more. Just, I hope it is, because again, not just my own personal bias of I love these two characters, but I think they've got a really interesting dynamic. Because again, you can buy after this event that Doctor Doom would have a respect for Peter, and Peter would have like, he wouldn't treat Doctor Doom as seriously as everyone else is, because he's like, well, he has a lighter look of it because he thought it was kind of goofy.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, it's just that that and Doctor Doom has a lot of science behind him, but he also has a lot of like some semi-supernatural stuff, kind of like Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're just very similar to me in the idea that they rely on big brain plays with the addition of amazing powers.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of stuff you can draw from that. Especially with them both being poor, and like Doctor Doom like starting from a really bad background too, and not having his parents, and then being raised by a single mum. Like they've got very good parallels between them. But it's just like, again, there's that moment where they disappear, and I can imagine like I would really love to just see someone write like Doctor Doom and Spider-Man sit down and have a conversation.
No, I agree. There's
because Peter Parker is really just Reed Richards without the ego.
Yeah,
and that's what Doctor Doom has the biggest problem with.
I'll say that, and if Reed Richards was less or could read social situations better.
Yeah, that's true.
Slightly better.
But Peter Parker can't. So.
Well, I don't think Reed can either. I think Peter's slightly better at it than Reed.
Well, I mean, Reed kept his wife longer.
Maybe.
Maybe. Don't ask Namor.
Yeah. Namor, I'm a married woman.
I love that. Grant Morrison wrote that.
I know he did.
Oh my god, I adore it so much. But yeah, this issue was really fun. Definitely one of my favorites we've done so far. But next week will also be really exciting, actually. At least for me. I don't know about how about you feel about this character.
I haven't previewed issue 6 yet, so let me find out what we're dealing with. Hold on, spoil it for me. Oh, I like this issue.
Yeah.
I think this issue is interesting. It reminds me. Actually, it would probably be good because we could probably. I don't know. To me, it kind of reminds me of what we can kind of expect from Far From Home, on a grander scale.
Precisely that. And for keeping you folks in the dark, maybe I will keep it for us. I'll do a vague hint in case you actually don't know the issue. But we're going to go traveling next issue to some murky places and deal with
We're going to Florida.
We're going to Florida.
Florida man strikes.
We're going to go to Florida where a Florida man fights giant lizard.
Florida man attacks.
Yeah,
the strongest Spider-Man villain.
So we'll see you then, folks. As always, don't forget to share this, comment anything you'd like to know. Check the issues out most of all. There will be a link in the description where you can buy these, read them at your own leisure. And most of all, take it easy.
Stay frosty, y'all.